Back on the Young Turks. You know, look, there's a million things I could say about Hamas. Let me add one last quick thing here. We've got a lot of stories to get to. But if Hamas says we will keep attacking Israel no matter what incentive does Israel have to make a peace deal? Because they think, well, then I won't get peace. These guys will continue to attack us anyway. Why would any rational person make that peace deal? So by continuing to have Hamas do this idiotic, immoral violence, you're eliminating any chance for a peace deal and hence the end of the occupation. For God's sake, for Allah's sake, for anybody's sake, get these idiots out of power, okay? Allah will come. I'm sure he will. God damn it. All right, anyway, all right, let's go forward. All right, another day, another shooting near St. Louis. Now, we brought this to you a couple of days ago, and we told you that we were a little concerned about the shooting. We understand that in this case of Kajimi Powell, a 25-year-old black man being killed, he had a knife. And I said, I understand the cops, felt that they had to respond. I wish that they had chosen a different path, perhaps a taser. But there was going to be no protest over it, and I don't think anybody was calling for the police to be investigated or anything along those lines. We largely believed, and I literally said on air that I believe the police's version of events. Well, now we have videotape, and we'll see if that is in fact the case. Now, first, I want to show you what the police said on the day of the shooting. And by the way, the shooting is just 4 miles away from where Michael Brown was shot, okay, in a different town. So let's hear the police chief first.
As officers arrived, the suspect turned towards the officers and started to walk towards them, clutching his waistband. He then pulled out a knife in what we described as an overhand grip and told the officer, "Shoot me now, kill me now." As he walked towards the officers began giving him verbal commands: drop the knife, step back, drop the knife, at which time the suspect stopped as he was approaching the driver and then turned his attention to this officer that was in the passenger seat. Both officers are out of the car. When they initially got out of the car, they did not have their weapons drawn. When the suspect displayed his knife, they drew their weapons. The officers are giving the suspect verbal commands: stop, drop the knife, stop, drop the knife. Suspect moved towards the passenger, the police officer that was in the passenger seat of the vehicle, at which time he came within 3 to 4 feet of the officer, and the officer shot. Both officers fired their weapons, striking the suspect, and the suspect is deceased.
Yes, he is. So you're about to see the video for yourself, and you'll see that some of that is true and some of it is untrue. So the suspect did have a knife. Now, remember the police chief there, Sam Dotson, said that he drew it above his head and that he was 3 to 4 feet away, and then the officers had to take action. Now, let's watch the video and see what actually happened. And by the way, just warning before we do, guy's going to get killed in this video. So I understand if you can't stomach that, obviously, but we need to know the facts so that we know how to judge the situation. So here's the video of what happened.
So now the police finna pull up. You see, y'all call the police? He bagging up. He got his gun out. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit, they got their guns out. Oh, they just killed this man. Damn. Oh my God.
Now you can nitpick about whether that was 3 to 4 feet away or if it was further out, as some are now saying. He did not have the knife raised, but he had a knife, right? That's not what disturbs me about the video. We're going to show you a close-up in a second. How many shots do they have to fire? Now, I know I can hear the supporters now screaming, oh, they're supposed to shoot to kill. That's their standard operating procedure. That's what they're supposed to do. Well, that's what I'm arguing against. I don't think they should have shot to kill. That guy was dangerous. That's why the local community called it in. They say he's got a knife. He's wandering around. You see him, by the way, he's obviously got mental issues. He's saying, shoot me, kill me, right? He goes back and forth, back and forth. Can we not try a taser or something? But I think the most disturbing part is the first couple of shots did it. He was already down. And whether he was dead, I don't know. He was down. I mean, he's on the ground. They're still firing. It was about 9 to 10 shots that were taken there. All right, look, let's take a little closer look here.
Oh, shit. They got their guns out.
Drop it, bro.
Oh, they just killed this man.
Damn.
You see that guy go down, and you hear another shot, another shot, another shot, another shot. Okay, I'm going to get to the statements of the police and disagree with their statements in a second. I want to show you one last thing, though. So the guy is clearly dead. Everybody can see he's dead. There's no question about it. And then they decide they're going to be clever, and they're going to try to handcuff him as if they didn't just kill him. Watch.
They just killed this man. He's dead.
Look how they flipping him over and that nigga already dead, man. That's fucked up, dog.
Putting him in cuffs. He's dead. Oh my God. They just killed this man. He didn't have a gun on him.
They cuffing him. Why they
Now they cuffing him. He already dead. He already dead. Y'all see this for yourself. I don't even know what to do. Oh my God, he's still holding his gun out. The man is dead.
Is that, oh no, it's standard operating procedure that when someone is most clearly dead, we still have our gun pointed at him to flip his body around a couple of times to handcuff him so it seems like we're following procedure. Who are you kidding, right? So now back to Sam Dotson, the St. Louis police chief. He says, the officers did what I think you or I would do. They protected their life in that situation. No, wrong. That's not what I would have done. And maybe I'd have gotten killed. I don't know. And I understand that, right? And I know that it's easy for people to judge when there's not a guy rushing at you with a knife. Now, whether he was actually rushing, you know, you just saw the videotape. You can make your own conclusions. Or did they think that they were about to get stabbed? So, but my sense of it is, no, they're taught, and it's not even particularly on those cops. It's their training that's the issue here, okay? They're taught, stand your ground, okay? Now, if a guy with a knife who's clearly mentally disturbed comes at me, I don't want to kill him. I know he's got issues. Now, of course, I don't want to get stabbed, but I don't want to kill him. So what would I do? What would you do? You wouldn't do what they did. You'd back up, right? And try to find a way to corral him. And you're not going to corral him with your hands. Of course we'd get that, right? That's too dangerous. Everybody understands that. You've got tasers. Did you try them? Do you know that the cops, and you saw it on the videotape there, shot within 15 seconds of arriving on the scene? Boy, thanks for really giving it a shot to see if you could subdue him in other ways, right? So Chief Dotson says, certainly a taser is an option that's available to the officers, but tasers aren't 100%. So you've got an individual with a knife who's moving towards you, not listening to any verbal commands, and he says, shoot me now, kill me now. Well, tasers aren't 100%. If that taser misses, that individual continues on and hurts an officer. Look, being a cop's a really hard job. Nobody's denying that. Do I want to go as part of my daily life and deal with guys who are mentally disturbed wielding knives? Of course I don't. We all get that. We're not thick-headed. We understand that, right? But we pay you to do that difficult job, and you signed up for that difficult job. And so what we're asking you is to show a little bit of restraint. Don't get me, nobody's going to get prosecuted here. The guy had a knife. It's over. That cop is going to be cleared, etc. But we can see with our own eyes there. God damn it, show a little bit of restraint, man. Try the taser first. Does that put you in an extra percentage chance that you're going to get hurt, a 1%, 2%? He doesn't have an Uzi, he has a knife. It's dangerous, but it's not like, oh my God, if I don't act right now, he's going to mow us down, right? Try the taser first. I don't know, remember old school when you try a billy club or something? Pepper spray, you've got all these options. You love using them in other contexts. Here's a perfect context to use them in. Nope. We stand our ground, and if anybody's anywhere near us and any kind of threat to anybody, we fucking hit him and hit him and hit him and hit him, and when he's on the ground, we put a couple more bullets in him to make sure he's dead. Well, I don't want my cops doing that. Yes, I want them to protect me from the guy with the knife. That's why we called you. Yes, I know you have a tough job. Yes, I know it endangers you. But that is part of your job. Your job isn't perfectly safe. Your job isn't to say, oh, well, man, I'm not going to take any percentage chance with my life. Okay, all right, then why don't you just walk into communities? Oh, there's a slight percentage chance I might get hurt. Somebody hand me an AR-15 and just mow everybody down. Well, in Ferguson, we almost had that with that crazy fuck-off cop, right? They're going around to the protesters, pointing the AR-15 or whatever that rifle was in their face and saying, I'm going to fucking kill you, to innocent civilian protesters, right? Well, because that's the mentality we have these days. Unfortunately, they're trained to say, don't take any chances. It's not like you're a cop or anything. Just mow them down. Mow them down. Now let me say for the third time, it's not like we're looking into an investigation and we think the guy should be tried on murder or anything, okay? But if you look at that as a human being, doesn't it bother you a little bit in your core where you see the guys on the sidewalk and they're into their 7th, their 8th, their 9th, their 10th shot to make sure that a guy who's already down is dead? Doesn't that bother you a little bit? And if it doesn't, shouldn't it? Like, where has your compassion gone? Where has your humanity gone? We are a militarized state, man. We are. And look, I'm going to teach my kids, and it sucks, but in this context, you know, we fight against the government all the time. You know, like conservatives think they're tough guys. They fight against the government. Shit. Let me see you do half of what we do, okay? And we're not just in favor or against big government one way or another. We're not just against them when it suits us, right? We're against them in all these aspects, intruding into our lives, right? All right, go ahead.
Just to jump in real quick, like you're saying, the humanity look at this. After they've shot the guy so many times, they still have the nerve, or I don't know what the cops are thinking of rolling them over and cuffing them. That was just looking at. I think that to me was the most, I don't know, the most impactful part of that video. It's just unbelievable.
And the other cop next to him was raising his gun as you see the life going out of him with his hands hitting the ground.
It's not too much of us to ask you to try a little harder, okay? Yes, there's some risk involved in being a cop. God damn it, man, try a little harder. I guess, look, I can go on, and I want to, right? But here's the core of it, right? Okay, and I'm going to get to what I was going to tell my kids, right? If they've lost their humanity, we're all in trouble. You know, it's okay, yeah, it happens to minorities more often than it does to non-minorities, right? And it happens in poor areas more than it happens in richer areas. But if we are teaching our cops that the civilians are the enemy, okay, and that if there's any hint from the enemy of engagement, you just mow them down. Armed in this case, but it appeared to us, at least, as not something that you needed deadly force for. In the case of Michael Brown, unarmed. Doesn't matter. Do you guys want those guys running the streets? Okay, these robots we've created that shoot at first sight and don't ask any questions? So what am I going to teach my kids? I'm going to teach them, stay the fuck away from the cops, right? And yes, you win, you win. In this case, yes, we fight against the government, but in this case, I'm not going to take my kids' life into their hands. I mean, I hope they don't have a disability, because cops will, oh my God, if you got kids with disabilities. Oh, they didn't listen to my orders, I fucking killed them. Not listening to cops' orders these days is you run a risk of, a significant risk that you will be gunned down in the streets. But people with disabilities, sometimes they're literally deaf and can't hear you. That was a story we covered at one point. If it's a mental disability, they might not understand your orders. How dare you disrespect me? I will fucking kill you in the streets. So I'm going to tell my kids, man, cop tells you to do something, just, okay, we'll fight in the long run. We'll fight politically. We'll fight in other ways. But they will kill you, right, if you even look at them wrong. That's the state we are in America. So Just listen to whatever the hell they want. I don't care how unfair you think it is. Let them arrest you. Let them beat you up. Let them do whatever they do as long as they don't shoot and kill you. Okay? And then we'll deal with it in other means. This is the fucking state of America now. Okay, great. All right, let me turn to a little bit of hope, okay? All right. Attorney General Eric Holder has been doing a surprisingly good job recently. I thought that he was very slow in actually jumping into action, whether it was against the banks or in fighting for justice as the head of the Justice Department throughout the 2 terms of President Obama. But finally, we have the Eric Holder that we thought we might have had 6 years ago. So he decides that he's going to go to Ferguson, Missouri. Of course, conservatives start to criticize him immediately. Well, here's your head of your Justice Department. There are people in the streets chanting about justice, and it might make sense for him to go out there and just get a lay of the land, figure out the facts, talk to everybody involved, like talk to the cops, talk to the protesters, talk to the community. You know, that's not a foreign community. That's our community, right? That's a town in America, right? A lot of times I feel like conservatives forget that. People in Ferguson are not the enemy. They're us. I know a lot of you don't feel that way because they don't look like you, right? But they are. They're U.S. citizens, and our Justice Department is supposed to protect them. In fact, our cops are supposed to protect them. That's supposed to be the whole point of the cops. So here's what Eric Holder said about Ferguson when he went there.
On a personal note, I've seen a lot in my time as Attorney General, but few things have affected me as greatly as my visit to Ferguson. I had the chance to meet with the family of Michael Brown. I spoke to them not just as Attorney General, but as a father. I wanted the people of Ferguson to know that I personally understood that mistrust. I wanted them to know that while so much else may be uncertain, this Attorney General and this Department of Justice stands with the people of Ferguson. My commitment to them is that long after this tragic story no longer receives this level of attention, the Justice Department will continue to stand with Ferguson.
Now, by the way, the number of arrests yesterday was dramatically lower at night. It was only 6 people arrested. There had been dozens and dozens in the nights before. Is that directly related to Eric Holder? Of course, that's impossible to tell. But the fact that you actually take the community seriously and you go listen to them and hear them out, and they were elated that someone from the federal government had come to listen to them. We've now become so detached from our government because we think, of course they don't care about us in Washington, of course they don't represent us, that it's like a shock when the Attorney General comes to town. This is the biggest issue in America. Everybody's talking about this. Of course the Attorney General should come. Of course the head of the Justice Department should come, right? But they were happy that he showed up and actually, listened to them. So great move, nice move, and it apparently helped the situation. Countdown is on, of course, for Fox News to rip into. Well, what does he mean he stands with Ferguson? Does that mean he's prejudging the situation and saying the cops are wrong? No. He's saying, look, we're going to do an investigation to make sure it's independent and that we get to the bottom of this, right? Oh, yeah, standing with a community. Yes, it's our community. They're American citizens. All right. He also related to them his personal experiences. He said to them, I am the Attorney General of the United States, but I'm also a black man, okay? Now, that's powerful. Again, countdown is on for Fox News, calling him a gang member, as they did with Captain Ron Johnson, who's the head of the cops there. But since he put up a sign of his fraternity with his hands, they're like, gangster, right? Gee, I wonder what connects all the people they accuse of being thugs and gangsters. Okay. You think it won't happen? Wait for it, right? He said he's black. He admitted he's black. Yes, he's black. Okay. Hello. Yes. News. He says about an incident he had. He had a couple of incidents that he explained them. When he was a federal prosecutor, he's walking to the movie theater in Georgetown, right? Nice area of Washington, D.C. Cops pull him over. Hey, what are you doing? I'm going to a movie. Like, he obviously hadn't done anything wrong. He's a federal prosecutor. It doesn't matter. You're black in Georgetown. Let's go. Pull over. Let's go, right? Now, and one time he got pulled over in the New Jersey Turnpike. He says he clearly was not speeding. I mean, look, you judge him for whether you trust him or you don't trust him. Or right wing will be like, oh, no way, I bet he was speeding. They claimed that he had been speeding before, which is not true. And now I've been pulled over for speeding in the New Jersey Turnpike, and believe me, I was speeding, okay? They didn't search my car, right? What do? They immediately searched his car. So here's what he said about that. He said, I remember how humiliating that was and how angry I was and the impact it had on me. And he said the same kid who got stopped on the New Jersey freeway is now the Attorney General of the United States. The country is capable of change, but change doesn't happen by itself. Now, of course, Bill O'Reilly's of the world will see that and say, see, he's so angry about that, and that's why he's supporting the blacks now, right? Well, he doesn't have to be angry to support blacks. Blacks are Americans. It's his job to support all Americans, right? And to make sure that our civilians are being served by our system of justice. That is literally his job, right? Also, that's not what he's saying. He's saying, look, man, I went through that, but I got beyond it. And look at the position I'm in now, one of the most powerful people in the country, right? So that means there's hope. I know you're frustrated. Good citizens of Ferguson right now, I know you're frustrated. I know you've been protesting in the streets. I know you're hurt about one of your own being killed when he was unarmed, right? But I'm telling you that there is hope, that you too one day could either be Attorney General or maybe even the President of the United States. That's not a bad message. That's a great message. So I think Attorney General Eric Holder in this instance did a terrific job in Ferguson. Okay. Now, this is a shocking day because I'm going to go to a second story of where Eric Holder did a great job. And if you've been following the show, this is not normal. Okay, we've not been huge advocates of Eric Holder in the past because of his actions. But you judge a man by his actions, and in this case, we have another action that is positive. Okay. So a new settlement has been announced by the United States government. The Justice Department has reached a settlement with Bank of America. It is a record. It is a fine of $16.65 billion. It is for their actions during the mortgage securities collapse in 2008, the economic collapse in 2008, and all the activities that they did and the fraud that they did leading up to that. So we'll get to their culpability in a second, but I want to give you a sense of the scope of this, the damages here. It's a $9.65 billion cash penalty, $7 billion of consumer relief to struggling homeowners. A lot of times in these deals, devil's in the details, so you'll have to follow up, and we'll have to follow up to make sure that that money actually goes to those people and doesn't go to some other fund that gets funneled back to the banks, right? From time to time, that does happen. But right now, it looks good. Eric Holder, the U.S. Attorney General, says this historic resolution, the largest such settlement on record, goes far beyond the cost of doing business. Now, let's put this in context. The $16.65 billion settlement eclipses the respective $13 billion and $7 billion accords by J.P. Morgan Chase and Citigroup recently reached to resolve similar claims. That is Reuters reporting that. So now that's a good amount of fines being collected from these companies who are paying these tens of billions of dollars. You know why? Because they did it. They actually did do that fraud. And believe me, if they didn't do that fraud, they're not going to pay $16 billion. In fact, when you look at all the settlements against Bank of America, Reuters explains two things. Actually, first about this particular agreement. It does not cover the $1.27 billion fraud penalty imposed last month by a federal judge over a fraudulent countrywide mortgage scheme known as High-Speed Swim Lane or Hustle. Okay, so now Bank of America bought Countrywide, so they might have to pay another over $1 billion in that case. Also, the accord does not cover potential criminal claims or claims against individuals. Now, that's why I like this settlement. Now, do I really think that the Justice Department is going to go and arrest these bankers? No. I don't think they're going to do that under any circumstances. That's why we've criticized Eric Holder and his team before. They work for those same law firms that protect. They've worked for them in the past. They'll work for them again, that protect these bankers. The bankers aren't going to jail. But at least in this agreement, it doesn't say they're not going to jail, so it doesn't foreclose that option. All it is Bank of America saying, you were right, we did do this fraud, here's a ton of money to try to compensate for it. Okay, as long as you don't say that they're definitely not going to jail, good. Plus, as Reuters explains, including the latest accord, Bank of America will have paid well over $65 billion to resolve mortgage issues with consumers, investors, and government agencies tied to its purchase of Countrywide in July of 2008 and Merrill 6 months later. Now, Countrywide in particular, but both of those institutions were a huge part of the fraud that led to that economic collapse. Now, I want to play or give you these two final quotes from Reuters to give you perspective here, because how many times did we hear from the right wing, It was the poor people. They took out loans they couldn't afford, and it was their fault. It was African Americans, and we gave them too many loans. It was those government groups, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, who just wanted to give more loans to poor people and minorities, and that's what caused the economic collapse, not the greed of the bankers. Interesting. Let me go to the quotes. Bank of America admitted having sold billions of dollars of risky mortgage-backed securities while concealing key facts about the quality of the underlying loans. In other words, they knew it. They knew the underlying loans were bad, and on top of that, they made the situation much worse by creating these risky securities, which then led to the collapse. And that's what I said from day one when covering the collapse. The loans were a huge problem, but the securities that they then made out of those loans was actually what led to the collapse, because those were much larger. And they knew they were bad. That's why they just paid a record $16 billion fine. They didn't pay it because they weren't guilty. They paid it because they knew they were. And finally, it, meaning Bank of America, also admitted to having made misrepresentations to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac about the quality of loans sold to those government-controlled mortgage companies. In other words, it was not Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, as Rush Limbaugh and Fox News told you over and over. Here's Bank of America saying, it was us. We're the ones who tricked Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac into taking those loans because we were going to make money in the short run. And we were so guilty of that that we're now giving you this record-breaking fine to show you how guilty we were, so that they can settle it. Otherwise, they'd have to pay even more money because they're guilty. They were wrong. Okay. Will that work? Of course not. The very next time, obviously the right-wingers will never talk about this because it's their beloved banks. Now, right-wingers in the country don't love the banks. If you ask them, you do the polls, no, they got no love for the banks at all. But their political leadership, their media leadership, oh, they love the banks. So they won't report this. This is done. I mean, if you got 2 sentences out of Fox News during this entire thing, I'd be surprised, right? Rush Limbaugh won't mention how guilty these banks were. But if they ever talk about it again, because it comes up again, they will ignore completely what all the banks admitted to, and they will turn around and say, it was the government-controlled Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, because goddamn poor people tricked the whole country into collapsing the economy. Now you know for a fact that is not true. Okay. God damn it, I run out of time every time. All right. Fuck, I'm running out of time. All right, let me just do Hannity here. Okay, let's go to Hannity. Okay. Hannity, as usual, is going to bring on someone who he does not agree with and yell at them. This is about the issue in Ferguson. This is Democratic Committee woman Patricia Bynes. And let's see how this develops.
Committeewoman, were you there at the shooting?
Was I there at the shooting? I was not present for the shooting.
You're not there. So you don't know if this case is about police brutality, do you?
No, I do know that this case is about police brutality.
You do?
We're looking at a case that's still, yes, I do.
You do?
We're talking about excessive force here.
So you don't believe,
no way
you don't believe
that a young, let me finish. There is no way that a young man who is unarmed should have 2 shots in his head. That's a little excessive.
Let me educate you, committee woman.
Say police brutality.
Let me educate you about the legal system in America. You can try to talk over me, but let me tell you, our system of justice, a person is innocent until proven guilty.
He says, you can try to talk over me. I was pretty sure you asked her a question, and she was like 2 sentences in when you started talking over her. But in the Fox News world, everything's upside down, right? In his world, how dare that black woman is still speaking? She didn't give me the answer I wanted. I'm going to talk. Shush. Let me educate you. How condescending is that? Let me educate you, okay? He says, were you there? Were you there? Hey, Sean, I got a question for you. Were you there? I mean, you've got all these assumptions about, oh, the cops, you got to respect the cops. And the cops, oh, maybe he had his head down and he was charging and he was doing all these things. Look at what all these cops say. Wait, Sean, why don't you shut the fuck up because you weren't there? Were you there? No, hey, shush. Were you there? Were you there? Were you there? Oh, no, you weren't there, right, Sean? So shut the fuck up. Why are you still talking? All right, here we go, but this is going to continue.
If the officer has severe facial injuries, an orbital eye socket fracture, and eyewitnesses say that Michael Brown charged at him, you weren't there. What if that turns out to be true in our court system? Then that would mean you're wrong, doesn't it?
Well, we have lots of eyewitnesses that are saying something different.
That's right.
So
we have
that's
both
what
sides.
The courts are for.
So you don't know, do you? You don't know what happened. You don't know if this is about police brutality, do you?
I do know.
So you don't believe in a person being innocent until they're proven guilty?
The country.
Yeah, I know, because whenever black people in this country or Muslims in this country are charged with a crime, Sean Hannity automatically assumes they're innocent. Like when the underwear bomber or whoever else it was, the minute they're charged with terrorism, Sean Hannity goes, wait. Now let's be fair here. In America, and let me educate you about the American justice system, they're innocent until proven guilty. Let's be fair to them. You've seen that all the time, right? Interesting why he wants to be so fair in this case about the justice system. And let me educate you, Sean. Just because we're not yet in a court of law, and by the way, the reason we're not is because the cop hasn't even been arrested after he put 6 to 8 bullets in that kid who was unarmed, right? Just because we're not in a court of law does not mean that facts don't exist. Facts can exist outside of a courtroom. So you keep saying to her, you don't know because you weren't there, but you also don't know that because you weren't there. But then you go on to tell your audience, oh, the severe facial injuries and eyewitness reports of this. Wait a minute, I thought we were in a court of law. How could you present it? There's no facts, right? But whenever she talks about eyewitnesses, shut up. No, you don't know. We haven't gone to court yet. You don't understand the American justice system. Then what the hell are you talking about your eyewitnesses for? Why are you talking about the severe facial injuries we've never seen? Well, it seems as if you're kind of trusting the cop side of it. Now, I know you wouldn't do that, Sean, right? I mean, you understand that we've got to go to court before you could ever talk about any facts. That's why this is the first segment you've ever done on it, right? Since you don't have any facts and you're not in a court of law and none of that has been proven, you've shut your fucking mouth, right? Oh, you haven't. That's really weird. You only want other people to shut their mouth. So he's going to do the obnoxious education thing one more time.
There's no way that a young man who's unarmed should have 2 shots in his head and 4 in his body.
What if he was charging? If he would legally, let me educate you again. If he was charging at the police officer, by law, that would be defined as justifiable use of force. You're aware of that, right, Committeewoman?
I am very much aware of that, but there is no way that an unarmed man should have 2 shots in his head and 4 in his body.
Well,
so you keep wanting to talk over the facts. I think you need the education
If he was charging at the officer, you don't know, and I don't know. But you're making claims. You should be a better leader for the community and wait till the facts come in. But I got to go.
But I got to go. I'm going to state all my so-called facts, dismiss all of your facts, and then I got to go. Okay, so facts do exist. He has 2 bullets in his head. Did you notice in the middle of that clip, Sean Hannity said, well, 3 were in the arm. Oh, okay. So that's all right. They only shot him 6 to 8 times, including twice in the head, and killed him. But 3 were in the arm, so it's no big deal. Okay. Sean, facts do exist. And the autopsy says that he was at least 4 feet away, up to 30 feet away. Okay. Now, you think that an officer, if an unarmed person is, quote unquote, charging, even if I take your side of the facts, it's interesting that you have a side, even though you keep saying you don't have one, right? That the guy's charging from 30 feet away, that I'm going to execute an unarmed guy? You say, hey, you know what? He has every right to. If I see an unarmed black person coming at me from 30 feet away, what's the right answer? Kill him. Sean, nobody's convicting the officer. They haven't even arrested him. Bill O'Reilly talks about a lynch mob. I mean, how dare you, man? You know who the lynch mobs killed, right? It wasn't white folks. Now, you're going to turn that around and use it against black people? They're not looking to lynch the officer. They're looking for him to enter the justice system so we can determine the facts. We know some of them now. Others there are disputes about. Can we talk about facts that we know to exist? Of course we can. You do it, we do it, everybody does it, because that's the job of people in the media, to talk about facts that we know exist. For example, the 2 bullets in Michael Brown's head, the fact that he is dead, right? The rest will be determined in court, where the protesters would like the police officer to wind up so we can figure out what happened. Nobody's looking to lynch anyone like Bill O'Reilly said, and nobody's looking to make up facts. except, of course, the place where you work, Fox News. Young Turks. So what are some of the awesome interviews we did recently? Jimmy Dore, funniest man alive, breaking down what's wrong with the media today.
Right? It used to be the fourth estate, the media used to be the watchdog, and they would watch the criminals, which were the corporations and the politicians. And the corporations got smart and said, fuck it, we'll just buy the watchdog. And so now so Brian Williams or David Gregory, they're really going to be doing investigations of defense contractors being funded by defense contractors and corporations? No. What they're doing, Boeing is buying that advertising to fund non-investigations. That's what's happening, and that's what's wrong with the country. And
I also talked to Max Blumenthal. He's the author of Goliath, Life and Loathing in Greater Israel. Fascinating. He's got the Israeli perspective, the Palestinian perspective, and some of the horrible parts of the occupation. It's an eye-opening conversation. He was in the West Bank when I talked to him, and he has news about how life has been in the occupied territory since Israel's invasion of Gaza.
Hamas it's had its hand strengthened massively across the West Bank, across East Jerusalem, and it's thanks to the way that Israel deals with Palestinians. The Palestinians have never received any concessions from Israel without the use of violence. So that's the lesson that Israel is projecting, that violence actually works, that it only understands force.
I also spoke with well-known atheist C.J. Werleman from Down Under. They don't talk like that. Anyways, he's got some great books out about how God hates you. And we had a conversation about how the U.S. government might have had a role in the rise of Islamic fundamentalism. Interesting.
You know, the reason why the Middle East and these fundamentalist religious movements have taken hold is because we helped propel the death of liberalism in these countries. We helped kill these liberal democracies. And when you kill liberal democracies, you leave a vacuum that can only be filled by proto-fascist religious movements. That's what's happening here in America today.
And finally, we had a conversation with well-known Marxian economist Richard Wolff. And he talked about why the middle class is getting screwed in this country.
In other words, the last 50 years has seen not only a dramatic drop in the income tax bracket on the richest Americans, but it's also seen a mammoth shift of the burden of taxation at the federal level off of business and on to individuals. Most Americans don't even know that, let alone approve of it.
All these lovely interviews at youtube.com/TYT interviews. Now you can also get them in podcast form. Check out the link below. Podcast away, bookmark it. Have fun, guys. Enjoy the best interviews in the world. What is this? The lovely and brilliant Gina Grad joins us. Hey, Gina, Washington. All right.
Happy to be here.
Okay. We cannot get my mic right today. Gee, some Lord mercy. What is going on with my mic? Oh, it's Gina's mic?
The mine? What's wrong?
Okay, we can't get any of the mics right today.
Did I do something?
Okay. All right.
All right.
Okay. Anyway, let's keep going and see what happens. Okay, I've got tweets for you guys. Ben Peck says about the Wolfpack story, some call it a mountain army. I can see the CNN debating it now. Is Wolfpack a mountain army? Is Wolfpack too strong? Okay, that would be awesome. That'd be a great debate. I look forward to it on CNN. Roars says about my son's name, Prometheus Maximus Uger is the perfect name for an NFL running back.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now, the only bone I have to pick with that is that I actually think it's a perfect name for an NFL linebacker. Okay. Now, having said that, I'm not going to let him play football. Isn't that so sad? God damn it, that's so sad.
You don't want to give him multiple contusions, right?
Yeah, or concussions. Either
Whatever.
Way. Okay. He would get both. He would get both in
football.
A
contra coup.
I have a contusion here from football. Can you see this scar?
Oh, look at that little boo-boo.
All right.
Yeah. You don't want to give him boo-boos.
Let alone the mental damage that was done. Okay. About our state leader, Alexander Falconer. Eric Johnson says, that's such a badass name. Sounds like a mobster. No, he's not. He's actually part of a mountain army. Oh, by the way, I got the Mountain Army shirt. Oh, I forgot to bring the name of the person who sent it to me. But you know who you are. Thank you. Thank you. I wore it last night out to dinner. So I got a Wolfpack Mountain Army shirt sent to me. So, and then Patrice Gonzalez says, funny that 35 foot is close enough to be a threat to the police, but too far for abortion protesters. That's an awesome point, Patrice. Great job, okay? And then I got it just last couple of ones. Little Big Man says about the Israeli issue, if Palestinian plan is dead civilians killed, Israel's great strategy is to happily oblige. They have no high ground. Well, you're right. Neither side has a moral high ground here. I wish there was, but morality seems to have escaped both combatants in that. The civilians are the ones that pay the price, unfortunately, on both sides. Okay. And then finally, I'm going to go to, Bree Hood, partly because she says something really nice, and partly because of her Twitter handle, which is TYT made me join.
Nice.
So, Twitter, take notice. Anyway, thank you, Jane, for calling out the inhumanity on the other St. Louis shooting, the Powell shooting. And she says, I thought I was alone in my horror, anger, and sorrow, so just thank you. No, thank you for joining us and all of us understanding it and covering it in the right ways and working through it together. All right. Now, on to cheerier stories about strip clubs.
Absolutely. And may I make a quick observation, which I would never do, but I can't stop thinking about it. Can we get a quick two-shot? When did I get so gigantic, and did you get so wee?
Well, okay, so it's the height of our chairs.
What's happening?
Her chair is different than my chair.
This is the worst chair I've ever been in my entire life.
Oh, really? That's funny.
This is the worst.
Because,
look at this.
because it makes you look too tall and too big, right?
I am just hulking.
Right, no, I know. The thing is, what's even funnier and more embarrassing is that I use a cushion. Like, I have to get a cushion to get up, and it's still not enough, okay? So.
And I think she's wonderful, so I'm not saying this in a horrible way, but I have like a real Lisa Lampanelli thing going on all of a sudden, when I usually feel so petite and lovely.
Okay,
all right, here we go.
We'll work on the chairs, but on the other hand, it's going to make for an interesting shot in the latest episode of Grin and Bear It.
Oh, yeah. All right. Okay, here we go, on to the strip clubs. All right, so a Montana man called to the police to complain about something, and it's because he didn't get a sex act with his lap dance. William McDaniel called 911 about 10:30 on Saturday to report he paid $350 by God for a private lap dance at Sagebrush Sam's Exotic Dance Club, but he did not receive the ending he had requested. This was reported by the Independent Record. The 53-year-old Butte man demanded a refund because the private dance in the back room should have included multiple songs, but the woman told the investigator she stopped the dance because he was getting a little sexually aggressive, which I think is probably the politically correct way to put that. He felt he was ripped off by her and by the bar, said George Skolatic, Butte Silver Bow Undersheriff. Now, that is quite a title. He assumed he paid the $350 for the sexual act that didn't occur. However, officers arrived at the strip club, which is located near a truck stop. This is like a children's story.
I know. And the
I
truck
love
stop
everything
is called
about this.
Rocker.
Oh, yeah.
I went to a strip club by Rocker.
Oh, it's great. It's the best. Stopping Rocker and told McDaniel that asking exotic dancers for sexual gratification is against the law. What state does he think he lives in? McDaniel was arrested, obviously, and charged with solicitation of a prostitute.
Right. Now, I love every part of this story. First of all, I love that there's an undersheriff in Butte, Montana.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I know it's Butte, but it looks like Butte.
It does.
So, second of all, I love this guy because he called 911. It's not that he called the cops. He thought it was an emergency.
Yeah.
The stripper did not finish me off. I have an emergency. Did he play this to the 911 attendant? Stripper has not allowed me to reach orgasm. I've got an emergency here down by the truck stop near Rocker.
In Rocker, yeah.
Okay.
I love these people, the injustice of not getting my drive-through order right. You know, anyone who calls 911 for these inconveniences and leads themselves right into the arms of the law.
Yeah, that's right. Of course, the coup de grace of this is that he got himself arrested.
Yeah.
You knucklehead! You can't solicit prostitutes like you go. Hey, cops, I got an interesting crime to report to you guys. I tried to pay this girl to be a hooker, but she wouldn't take the money. Isn't she crazy? No, she's not in trouble. You're in trouble.
I did not get the angry hand job that I requested.
Although angry hand job sounds kind of fun. All right, now, look, this McDaniel character actually, what makes it crazier is that he was warned before this whole thing happened, but he wouldn't listen to the warning. And we even have the warning on tape. Here it is.
There's no sex in the champagne room.
He was told by his good friend Chris Rock, but he would not listen. Chris Rock, who was, of course, by Rocker at the time.
Duh.
Okay, and yet McDaniel was bitter that he did not get his happy ending.
Yeah.
He got a very unhappy ending instead.
And he was also told, cornbread ain't nothing wrong with that, shortly after. It's my other favorite line from No Sex in the Champagne Room. All right.
All right, fun, nothing but fun.
Shall we move on to dinosaurs?
Yeah, and you see, by the way, the strippers have you by the balls, if you will.
Or not.
Or not.
And then you get arrested.
Right. So just beware that next time you're going to give them hundreds of dollars, that you can't even complain if they don't do what you think they're going to do.
And by the way, speaking of balls, check out the balls on that stripper that has the audacity to ask for $350 for a 3-song stop set. Like, she must be a pretty good dancer.
Yeah.
And what was she promising?
I know, right? What the hell's going on in Butte, Montana? They got $350 to throw around on a stripper.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. God bless. Didn't turn out well, but
all right. Shall we?
God bless.
On the first day of school, on Tuesday, in Somerville, South Carolina, 16-year-old Alex Stone was greeted by the cops, handcuffed, and arrested, all for talking about shooting a dinosaur. A dinosaur. The students were given a writing assignment where they were asked to give a fake Facebook status update, and that's when Stone chose to write about buying a gun and killing his neighbor's pet dinosaur. Stone told NBC 12 News, "I killed my neighbor's pet dinosaur, and then in the next status I said I bought the gun to take care of the business." It was then that school officials freaked out and called the cops. They also went through Stone's backpack and locker. No gun was found, obviously. Stone was eventually charged with disorderly conduct when he was arguing with the cops because he was irate, because he was arrested for a fake status update about killing a pet dinosaur. Karen Gray, Alex's mother, then told the NBC affiliate, "I could understand if they made him rewrite it because he did have a gun in it. But a pet dinosaur? I mean, first of all, we don't have dinosaurs anymore. Second of all, he's not even old enough to buy a gun."
I wouldn't have gone to the second of all. You don't really need a second of all in that situation. I mean, we've lost our minds. You know, everything is zero tolerance. Everything is calling the cops. You're putting a 16-year-old in handcuffs. Okay, first of all, the assignment was for a fake status book update.
It was an assignment, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
Second of all, dinosaurs don't exist.
Yeah.
That should have been your first sign and clue that he wasn't serious about shooting a dinosaur with a gun because he wouldn't have anything to shoot.
Yeah.
Okay? Third of all, if they did exist, they certainly wouldn't be your pet. That would be a really dangerous idea. Fourth of all, if they did exist, you might want to shoot them. Hey.
He's a local hero is what he is.
That's
but
right.
let's change the scenario a little bit. What if it was a fake status update for a school assignment and he was talking about shooting his neighbor's dog?
Okay.
Would you still call the cops?
Great question. Abso-freaking-lutely not, okay? I'd say, "Hey, Alex, come over here. What's going on?" So we gave you this assignment. Hey, look, we got to be careful about the gun thing. So just walk me through this. What did you mean? Okay, you're a teacher. For some reason, you're like super on edge. Call in the principal. You want to go nuts? Call in the principal and the vice principal. Let's all sit down. I think it's a little excessive, but let's talk it through because, hey, look, there are shootings in schools.
Yeah.
If anybody's against guns, it's us, right? but there's a fucking dinosaur in the story. He obviously didn't mean it.
Yeah.
Oh, even if if it's a dog, I'd be worried, right? Like,
Yeah.
wait, are you going to really shoot the neighbor's dog? I'd have a conversation with the kid. See, if you can use human judgment, you'd be able to determine, wait, is the kid a little off here?
Yeah.
Right? Or he's like, oh, no, you just told me to create something. Oh, my God, I didn't mean it like that.
Yeah.
You know, you asked me to do something fake. That's why I said it. Then you go, hey, okay, next time, cut the stuff out and give me a new assignment.
I agree, and this is something that I've thought a lot about, and I don't know if it's a politically correct thing to think or talk about. I don't know, but I can't help thinking about it. When you think about, like my dad always talks about, boy, I'm glad this didn't exist when I was a kid, because a little boy is going to make a gun out of anything. We were constantly cops and robbers, cowboys and Indians. That's what little boys do. So how does that translate to now? If maybe little girls too, I don't know. I don't have any kids, but if little boys are constantly going to make guns out of shit, does that change now just because our reactions to it change? So are 16-year-old boys just going to stop shooting fake dinosaurs as an assignment because we're afraid of guns?
So we live in this topsy-turvy world now where if you actually use the gun, everybody defends you, right? Like, oh, he stood his ground, right? Oh, we shoot people dead, and that's perfectly fine. If you have a fake gun, no one defends you.
Right. Right. That's a great point.
I mean, okay. So when I was a kid, the only toys I had were guns.
Right.
Okay. I had about 30 different guns. I mean, anything. Like you put two sticks together like this,
absolutely,
and I'd be like, oh, cool. I'd call it my Star Trek phaser or whatever it is, right? So my 4-year-old son, everything, shoot. My little 2-year-old girl, Joy, she's not even 2 yet. She's like, right? What are we going to do, arrest her? It's the most normal thing in the... Now, if you have actual guns in the house, I'm going to say, be careful, they're kids. Right. I'm going to go nuts if it's a real gun, okay?
Right.
Conversely, I am not going to go nuts if it's not a real gun.
Right.
I don't know why that's so hard to understand.
Right. Well, and this I thought was actually really interesting, too. I have a story about a guy who keeps guns in his house, has children, and the one thing he will not buy for his children are toy guns.
See, that makes sense because he's got a real gun in the house and he doesn't want them to confuse him.
Absolutely, which I think is a great thing. Makes perfect sense.
Here the confusion can be avoided because there are no dinosaurs to shoot.
Right.
Okay. So now the kid's going to get, he says he's going to pull out of the school. They suspended him for a week.
I wouldn't want to go to that school. That's insane.
So now the kid's going to be homeschooled. There's going to be no girls there. Oh, God, this turned out so disastrously for this poor kid. Okay. And I don't know. Well, he's going to be stuck at home with his mom all day.
With his mom.
Oh, God. I presume. I'm sorry if that's the wrong assumption.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway.
Karen and Alex.
Just go back to school. Don't suspend him for the week. Don't suspend him at all.
Suspend the teacher. Suspend the administration. This kid deserves an apology.
Yeah.
Yeah, his story sucks. He's not the most creative kid in class.
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest Facebook update.
I would definitely recommend, if I were Alex, to take the class pass-fail. But he's not a genius. That's cool. But calling the cops and humiliating him and traumatizing him, they're idiots.
Right.
All right.
And to be fair, we don't know what the rest of the assignments look like. And maybe they wanted him to make him super fake. And if they did, he made it super fake.
Congratulations.
Right? All right.
Speaking of idiots.
I got this one. Okay?
All right, perfect.
Okay, here we go. You ready? Okay. I've been dying to do this story all week. This is the tits that turn you get. This is the story I've been telling you about since Monday. Kind of. You'll see this. We'll go through this now. So 6 strippers show up at a church. Sounds like the beginning of a good story, right? They're from the Foxhole North Club, which is already fun, okay? And they're topless. This is in Ohio, and they come in. Everybody's out and about, right? And they're protesting. Why are they protesting? Because they're at the New Beginnings Ministry, and that ministry's leader, Dr. Patrick Johnson, his Johnson will be relevant to the story in a second. Okay, anyway. Has been protesting in front of their strip club for the last 9 years. Oh, honey, man, I got to go protest at the strip club again. I mean, with their Bobanis out, and they're just...
Doing the Lord's work.
Yeah, that's what he does. That's what he does. That's what he's here for. So he gets super upset that they came in front of his church. But wait, you've been going to their strip club for 9 years, right? So what are you upset for? Well, he says, quote, I'm quoting Dr. Patrick Johnson here. What they did was an offense to God. It was an offense to public morality. and the legislature should act to criminalize what they did. Okay, you should criminalize their breasts. I am sick that women can legally bare their breasts to children and to married men against their will in Ohio. You've exposed me to your tits against my will. Okay. Look, this is the Dr. Patrick Johnson's picture here. Let's show it real quick. And surprisingly, he is apparently a married man and is exposed to breast against his will.
Straight men don't wear seersucker.
Okay, I don't know. I'm not saying anything about his Johnson. I'm just saying, okay? So, I mean, look, the guy appears to be straight because he really doesn't want, he so doesn't want to see those tits, he's been going to see them for 9 years straight. So, I actually believe he is. Anyway, that's an awesome argument, but then he's calling for a piece of legislation that would also be so broad that it would ban breastfeeding. Okay, in public. I mean, in a cave or in the corner of your house in the darkness, maybe you could do it. But you can't do it because if a child or a married man sees your breast, head explosion. Right?
Yeah.
Obviously. He said, now here's an interesting twist in his argument. He also argued that women with exposed breasts were the reason that Ohio's gay pride parade was so popular.
Huh?
So wait. How are women's breasts turning men gay? I was thrown for a loop on this argument. Wasn't quite sure. Well, obviously there's so many gays in Ohio because of all those tits. What? Okay, but wait. Now let's be fair. Let's be fair to him. It turns out his argument's actually not that bad. Okay, he says.
Oh, I can't wait.
I know, right? The Gay Pride Parade in Columbus is 500,000 strong. Why? Because the women go topless.
Aha!
And then I was like, oh. Actually, maybe that does make sense. Okay. Now, but then that's kind of ironic because, well, who would show up for that? Either lesbians because they're interested in the breasts, but then they're lesbians anyway, so they'd go to a gay pride event. The men who show up are presumably gay and would not be interested in the breasts, right? But it's possible that a lot of straight spectators might show up to see what happens.
Spectacle.
Right. But I don't know if he knows this. Just because you show up for the breasts doesn't mean you automatically turn gay as soon as you hit the parade. It's not like, oh, I came for the tits, and now, oh my God, look at that guy.
Methuselah.
And then they trick you, and they're like, oh no, what did I wind up with? Okay. Finally, he says about the parade, this is the only one where I've seen this level of nudity. San Francisco, Chicago, Washington, D.C., I've never seen the kind of public lewdness I've seen in Columbus, Ohio.
We got to get to Columbus.
That's exactly what I thought when I heard that. I was like, wait, man, maybe we should check this out. Columbus Pride event. All right, you go get them, guys and girls. Okay. Now, one, he's made me want to go to the gay parade in Columbus.
So bad.
Number two, this guy is like the biggest perv in America, right?
Yeah.
He's going to the strip club day in, day out. He's like, oh, this is the kind of lewdness I've never seen before. I got to go check it out again.
Yeah.
Right? I've seen lewdness in D.C. and New York and everywhere else. Believe me, I'm on a boob watch, okay? I've seen boobs all over the country.
This is always the way, too.
Right. So, seersucker or not.
He spends more time at a strip club than the biggest strip club than Mr. Butte, Mr. William McDaniel.
Who was upset that he didn't get his happy ending.
And I think so is Mr. Johnson. He's also upset.
Well, he's definitely got a lot of things pent up. Things have built up in his system, and he's very upset, and that's why he'd like to make sure to ban your breasts.
Yeah.
Now, by the way, to be fair, in Ohio, it is legal to be topless, which then, again, makes me want to visit Ohio. And in fact, I got a trip coming up to Ohio in December to Cleveland to see Johnny Football and King James.
Nice.
Okay. I might have to stop by Foxhole, okay? And cross my fingers that there's a gay parade in town.
And by the way, I say if Johnson is going to do this, we might as well go all the way. If babies can't eat in public, neither can he. No more public eating.
Okay.
For anybody.
Take that.
Take that, sir. What an idiot.
I love these guys. All right, now, speaking of religious conservatives, we go to the next story, which Gina's got.
We're on a real idiot watch.
Yeah, I know, right?
All right. One. So I'm sure everyone's familiar with the Ice Bucket Challenge that has just been rampant on Facebook and on Twitter. This is, as assume you know, everybody's dumping ice-cold, chilly willy buckets of water on their head, all in the name of supporting and donating to ALS, which most people actually don't know stands for amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. I actually had to look down to read that because I couldn't remember either, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. So, Kevin McCullough of the American Family Association is urging his followers not to take the ALS challenge because doing so will kill unborn children. This is from the Southern Poverty Law Center. Now, let me explain a little bit about the ALS challenge because it has actually brought in $31.5 million this year. This is up from $1.9 million. Obviously a significant increase. But as McCullough pointed out, this money will be used to fund embryonic stem cell research, which means that children are created and at their earliest stages of life they are destroyed so that the stem cells, which usually from the base of the brain, can be harvested to perform tests with. So, according to the California Institute of Regenerative Medicine, all the human embryonic stem cell lines currently in use come from 4 to 5 day-old embryos left over from in vitro fertilization. After a couple has completed their family, they must decide what to do with any remaining embryos. In some states, couples can also choose to donate the frozen embryos for research. These donated embryos are the source of human embryonic stem cell lines. Still, McCullough insisted that there should be no forced taking of any innocent person's life just so that another may live longer. That is, in essence, philosophical cannibalism, and moral persons should have no part of it. So you're killing people by dumping ice on your head. That's what he says.
All right, so let's break this down a little bit. First of all, gone people. I'm so devastated by what these people have done. I can't believe they've done this philosophical cannibalism that we're watching here. Yeah. All right, let's break it down. This idiot says that the embryos are killed usually from the base of the brain. They are 4 to 5 days into the process. They have no brain. There is no base of the brain. There is no brain. There's nothing 4 to 5 days in, okay? The skull has not formed, the spine has not formed, the brain has not formed. You're lying. It's totally made up to appeal to people's emotion. Right. Second of all, the great majority of these stem cells that are in these embryos are thrown away. The overwhelming majority. Because a couple, for example, in order to do in vitro fertilization, will create many, many of those. They will only use a very limited amount. And the rest will either be donated to science so that we can cure things like Lou Gehrig's disease and save actual human beings, or they'll be thrown in the trash. It's not like the pro-life groups go and adopt all those embryos and then put them in people and create millions of new kids. No, they throw them in the garbage, right? By the way, one of the people who invested in companies that either do that research or throw them in the garbage was Mitt Romney, okay? While he was running for president, they're like, oh, do you know that you're in 2 companies that do this on a regular basis? He's like, well, yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that, but I mean, how much money did I make, right? So these people aren't in it for the money. They're here to help these people with Lou Gehrig's disease. Now look, if you said you shouldn't do the Ice Bucket Challenge because it's so over, then I'm with you, okay? Boy, is it played out, right? I mean, when George Bush is doing it, when Senator Lisa Murkowski from Alaska is doing it, we jumped the shark a long, long time ago, okay? So all that is Chris Christie's doing. It's over, okay? Now, don't get me wrong, I loved it because as Gina pointed out here, last year 1.9 million raised, this year 31.5 million raised.
It's a big deal.
So they did a phenomenal job with it, and everybody should be happy. But these right-wingers, they can't be happy with anything, right? Like, oh, somebody had fun and raised money for a good cause and saved human lives? No, but what about the brain of the 4-year-old embryo that was going to be thrown in the garbage and didn't exist in the first place?
Yeah.
Cannibals.
Now, let me ask you this. Did anyone challenge you, and did you do it?
Look, I tried so hard to avoid looking at things that might challenge me because I already knew it was played out a long time ago. So I didn't want to be like, oh, 18 weeks in, oh, here we go. And then, oh, no, you go ahead, Jeff. So, no, I didn't.
Okay, so same with me. Someone challenged me before I understood what it was, and someone challenged me when I was sick of looking at it. So I wasn't going to do it when I didn't know what it was, and I wasn't going to do it when I just couldn't. I can't. Look, It's a great cause, and I am so glad it raised a lot of money. But the people I know, I don't think they donated any money. I think they had a good time watching the wet T-shirt contest, and that's great. But I think we can all move on now.
Yeah. All right.
God bless.
I agree. And if you're going to do it, just don't do it, but donate the money.
Write the check.
Right. And by the way, that's the whole point. Like, you're supposed to, like, if you don't take the challenge, you're supposed to donate.
Yeah.
Right? So just skip to that part, okay? Yeah. Don't make any more YouTube videos. Just go ahead and donate.
And I liked the celebrities that dumped the cash on their heads and said, this is going to charity. That was kind of cute.
Right.
I don't know if it was. I don't know if it did.
And you know, when BuzzFeed does the top 20 fails of Ice Bucket Challenges, we're at that.
It's over.
Right. Okay, anyways, one last quick note here. Did you know that tear gas has abortifacients in it? And it's been proven that it causes miscarriages? So if these pro-life groups really cared about protecting the unborn, they would be furious at all the cops, for example, in Ferguson, Missouri, using tear gas. Because that's a fact, right? So now, are they up in arms over that?
I haven't heard anything.
I haven't heard anything either. Now, that causes real miscarriages of unborn babies that people want to carry to term.
Right.
That would have actually been human beings.
Right.
Right? Not a word. Okay? Interesting. It's almost as if they want to have fun picking the fights they like helping black people in Ferguson. What a pain in the ass, right? And not supporting the cops who we love, authority figures, and yada, yada. So they're full of shit.
And this has been tested, right? In various countries, Chile, Bahrain, all over the place.
Yeah, in all the places they've used tear gas.
Right.
And then they did studies afterwards and showed that there's a significant spike in miscarriages.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back. Do we have more religious nuts?
Oh,
I think we do.
We have my favorite story. My favorite story of the day is next.
Oh, yeah, it's a good one. It involves alcohol. All right, we'll be right back. You might have heard the Colbert Report is dead.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
You liked that, didn't you?
Well, if you like that, you'll love the whole show. TYT-network.com. Get the whole show as a member.